Sometimes development erases a piece of the past. What it can't get rid of are the spirits and entities that call those places home. That is the case of the Bono Bridge, where an old bridge was taken down for a new path for traffic. But the story of a young woman who calls the train tracks beneath lives on. Follow this train down a busy set of Craighead County train tracks, and you may have an encounter
right down there. I creeped out.
You were not expecting.
Is there anyone out here with us?
The tracks that run under the Bono Bridge are said to be haunted. On a windy Friday night, we went ghost hunting with the help of paranormal investigator Doug Cousins.
1, 2, 3, scream.
Our hunt for spirits began before the sun set. Legend has it, if you listen closely, you may hear the screams of a young girl from just around the bend. Cousins has not seen her, but he's heard the stories.
There's a girl that walks the tracks certain nights. She's transparent, light-colored, a child.
Home to the once decades-old wooden Bono Bridge, the stories of haunted experiences are vast. Built in the 1800s, the wooden slats of this old bridge were torn down in the early 2000s. It was said to have been the place for some.
It used to be the occult ganged up under the bridge on certain moon nights and had satanic rituals.
And as the sun set, random, unexplained noises could be heard coming from the woods next to the tracks. We aren't sure what it was. Cousins has an idea, though.
I think there could be an entity out here. I think it could be the girl or someone else.
Using phones and recording devices as darkness set, Cousins hoped to have picked up a response from his many questions.
The train get you and kill you.
The technology can capture sounds the human ear cannot.
They'll pick up stuff we don't hear. Frequency difference. That's why those digital recorders are so good.
Cousins does not believe the spirit, the ghost, or whatever may be known to others is dangerous. But then again,
they can make you hurt yourself. And, you know, it's a matter of religion too. If you're a religious person, you know, it's the devil.
So the next time you drive across the new and improved Bono Bridge, remember, a piece of the past may be traveling with you.
I've done this since the 80s. I know there's something out here. I've seen it, I've heard it, and I've recorded it.
And understanding spirits and ghosts is complex. Being able to communicate and see them is even more complex. And for the last 3 Halloweens, when we have set out to uncover these stories, we've used the help of paranormal investigator Doug Cousins, who needs no introduction. We have seen him several times in this special with his stories. Doug, how did you get involved in paranormal activity?
Well, that's a hard question. I always loved it, but at one time, I seen my friend got killed. And later that night, I seen him briefly, and it startled me. Then I got reinterested and started investigating and studied it, and just went from there.
Yeah. How long have you been doing ghost hunts, paranormal activity?
Oh, about in the 80s is when I started.
So quite a while.
And, oh, yeah.
Is there one story or situation that sticks out with you the most that you've experienced?
Yes, the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs. There's a bunch of us up there, and you generally don't aggravate the spirits, or I don't, to get responses, but I wasn't thinking real well that night. Or neither was my buddy Kevin. And long story short, they sell Crescent Hotel Ouija boards at the time, and he bought one. And when we seen it fly off the bed and hit the floor, we kind of...
You were done?
We were done.
You were done.
We decided not to aggravate them anymore.
Yeah.
And I've never done it since.
We've done 4 or 5 together of these over the last few years, and we've used different tools in a lot of them. We used a new one that we talked about in our story from Spirit Knows and Pocahontas earlier.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about what sort of devices you use and what they do and how they pick up on these spirits' voices and words that we sometimes hear?
Well, the device we used the other night when we was blindfolded and listened to basically sort of white noise, it's called the
Estes.
Yeah, like Estes Park, because that's where it was come up with in 2016. But I've never used that, and I'm so impressed with it that it may be another tool, because before I really learned from the ladies how to use that, I always kind of wrote it off. But now it has my attention.
We have used EMF, we've done pendulums, we've done tarot card readings. We've done it all in our adventures. Is there one that you think works the best, that gets you the best results?
Just a tape recorder.
Just a tape recorder.
If you don't need any of that fancy stuff, I've got $10,000 worth of stuff that I use the $49,
tape recorder
and EMF reader, and that's all you need.
Just put it on the table and ask questions and listen to it back?
Yeah, I mean, just act like they're sitting across from you. And like in one of those other stories, it's just like Bigfoot. I mean, we're invading his space. We're invading their space, so they're going to check us out.
And they want to know who you are.
Who you are, and we've had a spirit in our house here in Jonesboro, and finally got rid of it. I mean, we were cleaning out a rent house we had and found this box and opened it up. Come to find out it was ashes of a person.
Oh.
So for months I tried to contact the family, and I did in Memphis, and they said, don't want nothing to do with it. Said, we're glad he's gone.
They left it behind for a reason.
So, but we had a tanning bed out in the garage, and my wife would use that, and my desk was just kind of, I could see through there in the garage. But she come out of there one night, somebody was watching her looking in there. I forgot what the story was now, but it disturbed her greatly. But anyway, we finally had a little ceremony with the box of ashes, and it went away.
Been gone.
Gone. Had the same thing over in Tennessee. It was on an old plantation. They built a neighborhood, behind the plantation, and that was probably one of the other scariest. Well, it got my attention so bad that I quit for 1 year. I wouldn't touch it, wouldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
I ran across those tapes last night while I was working.
What?
They were erased for years. They killed the cameras just like it did, in our place overnight. So.
Do you think that most people have the ability to engage with spirit or talk to spirit, hear spirit, and it's just something they haven't honed, or is this really just a special gift for a select few special people?
Hard question. I think anybody could do it. But you got to know what to look for, just like hunting or fishing or whatever. You can go there and sit all day and never kill a squirrel, because you don't know what to look for. You don't know what to listen for, because the listening to that part, an hour tape will take 3 to 4 hours to go through, because back up, go forward, slow it down, speed it up.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of interesting things that you do, and a lot of interesting things that we've uncovered over the years.
Yeah.
We appreciate you always being available to help us out with these stories, Doug, and I'm sure there are many more to come.
Oh, I imagine.
All right. Thanks, Doug, and thanks for being here tonight. Happy Halloween.
You too.
All right. Sometimes the ghosts and spirits we hear about are hard to catch. Some claim to have seen them, while most are left wishing for a sighting. That is the case just across the Arkansas border. It's where folklore has people talking, and it's about stories in 2 popular haunted locations in Dunklin County. Former K8 reporter Amani Williams checked them out last year. Here's what she found.
A short drive across the Arkansas border sits Zenith, Missouri, a town with the slogan Cotton Country, but also a town where scary rumors float around or even light up the sky.
I've never seen the light, but I've talked to a lot of people that have.
The Zenith Light, a story passed down for generations, starts down a dirt road where a tree once stood, a tree where it is said a person was hung. And now if someone drives that way and flashes their headlights 3 times, a couple things may happen.
The light, when it shines on your car, it'll peel the paint off the car, cause it bubble up. Most of them say the car won't start till after the light leaves.
Omar Carnes is the Zenith police chief.
There are people that swear it's there. There's all kind of stories I've heard all my life.
This is where the tree was that we always went to for the hanging tree.
Although many have their theories of where the Zenith Light comes from, it may just be science.
There's been people investigated. Some of them say it's just swamp gas.
Carnes said around Halloween, interest spikes in paranormal activity. Another place in Duncklin County that attracts people is Crybaby Bridge.
You get out there, it's eerie. You're just waiting on it, it's eerie.
Water trickles in the ditch. That is where the tale of a crying baby begins.
First story I heard, there was a house on the ditch bank years ago, and a man and woman had a little baby lived there. Something happened, he was gone or something, and the baby was crying, wouldn't be quiet. So she threw the baby in the ditch, drowned it. Then she couldn't take the pressure, so she jumped in the ditch and drowned.
This bridge connects 2 dirt roads. It's said if you stand on the bridge and recite the Lord's Prayer backwards, the baby will cry and the mother will appear from the water.
When one person got scared, it spread pretty quick. Everybody was kind of panicking.
Carnes said he has not been to either location in a while, but this Halloween, he may take a brave trip there.
This October, this Halloween, will be a good time to test it out.
Are you going to test it out?
I'm going to test it out if I get somebody to go with me.
Don't call me. Don't call me.
I'm inviting you, number 1.
Reporting in Zenith, Imani Williams, Region 8 News.
Now, Imani never did check it out, but spirits and stories of them and ghosts have been the talk of many communities for decades. In some cases, cities and towns monopolize on these stories. Those from Powhatan Courthouse near Black Rock are no exception. They've been passed down for more than 100 years. So we decided that we were going to dig through the archives to find this story from Keith Bowles from back in 2008.
Any 120-year-old building offers the perfect setting for a ghost story. The Powhatan Courthouse near Black Rock is no exception. This is the Spirit Seekers' 3rd trip, and they are seeing more and more activity.
And every year we've come back, there has been a little more activity, and by activity I mean the unseen things that happen around you that you can't really put your finger on.
The evening began with a presentation from the Spirit Seekers. Locals from the area gathered in the upstairs courtroom to hear the results of the last trip. One of the spirits they had encountered was a child who laughs in the courtroom. Well, more about it later. I sat down with Alan Lowe, the chief investigator. Of course, the first question I had to ask, was the courthouse haunted?
In your heart of hearts, Alan, do you believe? Yes, I believe it is.
Besides technology, the Spirit Seekers use those in tune with the spirits.
We've had psychics here. We've taken pictures and gotten electronic voice phenomenon.
With the lecture over, the group headed to the old jail to try their hands and copper or brass rods at connecting with the afterlife. Tammy Kroom of Black Rock was able to funnel the energy into the rods while my son Hayden asked a couple of questions.
Was your baby a boy?
Closed rods mean yes, open for no. It kind of limits your questions, but you can find out a great deal of information.
He asked her if it was Amanda, and she said yes, and that she committed suicide.
Yes. She hung herself.
By 10, the guests had departed, and the ghost hunters were gathering up their equipment and posting themselves around the grounds for their all-night vigil. Melissa was up in the attic where she had an encounter before. Others were back in the jail using the rods and looking for who or whatever was in the building.
Cross the rods if you're a male. Are you a male?
Remember I mentioned a child's laughter in the courtroom?
We've had laughter in this room, the sound of a child laughing.
I did hear something, but until I see something, well,
The jury may still be out. In Powhatan, Keith Bowles, Region 8 News.
And no matter where you travel in the natural state, you are sure to find a little bit of unnatural activity. Urban legends fill many towns. Right now on KAIT8.com, you can find a list of several other haunted locations and the stories behind them. And if you want to learn more about haunted places throughout Northeast Arkansas and Southeast Missouri, or if you want to watch these stories again, you can find it all on the K8 News app. Thank you for joining us for this K8 Investigates special, Hidden Haunts. We hope your night is full of fun and fright. Good night and happy Halloween.